I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. It. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
Welcome back to Get Up. Shams is here, and we have breaking news. Shams Charania, take it away.
So, Peter, sources tell me that the NBA will hold a vote next week at the Board of Governors meetings on March 24th and 25th to allow the league to go explore two new expansion teams exclusively in Las Vegas and Seattle. And so these two teams would be targeted for the 2028-29 season. And there is momentum within stakeholders here to try to go out there and see what is the market here and what could those proposals look like? Because industry executives tell me that you're looking at somewhere between $7 to $10 billion per team for Seattle and Las Vegas. And so this first step right now, this first vote, is looked at as a formality. There is momentum for the owners around the NBA to approve this vote, to go allow the league to go see what those bids could look like. This is just the first of a multi-step process. So you go out there, you give permission to the league to go explore. You get the bids, and then depending on if it reaches the threshold, then you have a final vote later in 2026 to approve the move to 32 NBA teams. And so there is a growing majority of owners right now, I'm told, that are supportive of expansion. You think about Seattle and Las Vegas. Those are two big markets in the NHL, in your world, in the NFL. And so could those two teams immediately emerge as top revenue generators? So that's what we're going to see.
Ladies and gentlemen, get on your feet for the 1996 Pacific Division champions, your Seattle SuperSonics.
Something tells me that in that crowd after that, you were in there. Now, my only question to you, Jim Moore, after that introduction of the NBA Finals, were you hungover or not?
No, I wasn't hungover. Come on.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, well, hold on. I don't know. I thought you would have been hungover.
No, I might have been in Chicago. But I don't think I was in Seattle. Who was the PA announcer again?
I think he's doing the Kraken games.
Is he?
Yeah.
God, why am I trying? It's Jim something. Jim Gracie. Jim Gracie, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. But God, no, that honestly, like, I'm excited about the news today, and I know we're going to get into the details of all of that. But to hear that, to have that open today, it just took me back. It took me back 30 years ago, sitting there on the baseline, and then Sean being introduced, and Gary and Detlef and Sam, and yeah, I mean, we got to know all these guys on first name basis, and no, that was a thrill for me just to hear that again. God, I was a young guy again. That was fun.
You were. Yeah, Jim Gracie. You are right, sir.
Yeah.
And what is he
doing
now?
and then Puck, I mean, I just felt so fortunate too to NBA Finals in Chicago and the introductions of the Bulls there at the United Center.
Oh, that's a great one. I have
God.
You don't. Tim Booth is going to join us here momentarily. Tim, of course, Seattle Times, and Tim does just a wonderful job of covering this whole thing. And if you're just joining us, I mean, I played what Shams said there from ESPN. And you're asking, well, what, they're coming back? No, we're not there yet. Have I overreacted to this news? Well, pretty much. I mean, I'm already have looked at the mock draft of 2028, and I've looked at free agency in 2028. But here's what's going to happen next week. And Tim's going to fill us all in on all the details. They're going to hold a vote next week, Board of Governors meeting, March 24th and 25th. Vegas and Seattle, those are the only two cities that they're talking about. The plan is for them to open up the season in 28-29. They're talking about $7 to $10 billion for each team, which is just, it comes out to, if it's $10 billion, I think it's $720 million a team receives from just adding these two there to the NBA. It's for the NBA to explore and then get bids. There'll be more things to follow on all that. Now, in all rounds of votes, they'll need 23 of the 32 or 23 of the 30, most of a vote in favor. And if it does go through, as Shams points out in the story, that Seattle and Vegas will play in the West, the T-Wolves and the Grizzlies will head to the East. We'll have Tim Booth on. He's in the green room ready to come on. We've got to get all the sponsors out of the way first. We couldn't do this show without the sponsors, so big thanks to Limback Lumber Contractors. They got free deliveries from everything from whole house packages to homeowner DIY projects, largest stock moldings in the Northwest, old school service. Give Limback Lumber a call at 206-782-3487. Visit them at limbacklumber.com. Visit me on social media, Puck Sports everywhere, and of course, pucksports.com. There you can sign up to become a Puck's Posse member. Also, I want to shout out to Flat Stick Pub. Look at this new gear I got from Flat Stick Pub. Big thanks to Andy Large. Got the hat. Got it. Hold on. Can I stand up? Got a T-shirt. Oh, look at the sweatshirt.
Nice.
Look at that good-looking sweatshirt. By the way, doors open 11 o'clock Thursday, Friday at all Flat Stick Pub locations. They've got beer specials. They've got food specials, a bunch of stuff. I got more information on that one with Andy Largent and the folks there at Flat Stick Pub. All right, Jim's with us from Bend, Oregon, the home of fun. And he's brought to you by...
Yeah, thanks to Brotherton Cadillac and Shoreline, Brotherton Cadillac and Brotherton Buick GMC in Renton. Know what you can expect from Brad Brotherton? Customer satisfaction, thanks to a dedicated, no-pressure, stress-free sales approach. Check them out in Shoreline or Renton or at brothertonauto.com.
Okay, there you go. Big thanks to Brad Brotherton. Big thanks to Clean Streak. Big thanks to all those for letting us get the one and only Jim Moore 3 days a week, all right? Let's get him on now. I believe he's in Arizona covering spring training. Well, we can ask him whether or not he extended a hand to Randy Arozarena or not. But ladies and gentlemen, from the Seattle Times, Tim Booth, who has been all over this story about NBA expansion. This is a story that he's followed in the past. He continues to follow now and is a great source of knowledge on everything when it comes to the NBA. Hello, Tim. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Well, it was a good morning when I woke up, and I flipped on Twitter, and I saw this freaking story, and I'm just running with my pants off, for God's sakes. And I overreact to this stuff, Tim. You know, I've already looked at free agents for 28. I've already found a mock draft for 2028. But again, I know we're way ahead of it. I explained it a little, but tell everyone again, reiterate what's about to happen next week in the NBA.
So before we get there, I'd like it to be pointed out that my morning started with Ryan Divish busting my door open at like 6:20 a.m. yelling, "Hey, Sham's got something about the about NBA expansion you probably need to take care of." So there's nothing worse than having Ryan Divish wake you up. Okay, there's nothing worse than that. So that's how my day started. How you doing? Okay, so back to your question, though.
No one cares about how your day started, Booth.
Fine, Jim. How was your bets yesterday?
There's a reason why I'm ripping you. Go ahead.
To get back to the important stuff. Next week, it's going to be the league's owners are going to vote about essentially moving forward on this process with a very direct avenue that they're going down of they're going to start negotiating with Seattle and Las Vegas about focusing on those two cities specifically and really starting the actual process of going beyond just, are we going to do it, to, yeah, it looks like it's going to happen. Like, and the tone has definitely changed a lot in the last few months, really since, that Silver had that press conference at the NBA Cup in Vegas in December. His tone continued to be really positive in February at the All-Star game. I've heard from several people who were at the All-Star game who said that the buzz going around was that this is happening, that this is going to get done. And what's going to happen next week is a very important procedural step in that process, because until Silver has the green light from 23 of the owners, he can talk all he wants about how they're going to explore it or what they're going to look into or anything, but he can't go out and start the actual negotiation process with any ownership groups until that green light is given by the league's owners. So that's expected to be what happens next week in New York. And then we start the process of finding out who's got the money and who doesn't have the money, and who entirely is going to be involved in potentially being part of the ownership group for both, what we're expecting in Seattle, but also Las Vegas.
Well, Tim, the word that I heard that stood out the most to me from Shams was formality, which we haven't heard anything close to that to this point. So I think it's fair for Puck to overreact all he wants, because this sounds like it's going to happen. Was there any surprise, though, that came out of what Shams was saying today on ESPN as far as 2028, 29 being the first season? Or how about the price tag? 7 billion to 10 billion?
The price tag is the surprising thing, because that's been the big unknown, especially for people who might be involved in the ownership group here in Seattle, is they've been waiting to know what the number is. There's been a thought that, when we first started this conversation a few years ago, and the number was expected to be 4 to 5 billion, there was a thought that the money was already in place and that it wasn't going to be an issue. And then as you saw the franchise valuations continue to grow, and you saw the sale of the Celtics for 6, and you saw the sale of the Lakers at a $10 billion valuation, there became some pause among people who you thought were planning to be involved in this, going, that's a lot of money. And the NBA has very strict ownership rules about, you have to have a certain percentage investment in order to be part of an ownership group. You have to have a 1% investment. So on a $7 billion price tag, you have to put in $700 million to be able to claim that you own 1% of the franchise. And there's not many people floating around who just have that kind of disposable money. It just does, we have a lot of rich people. We don't have a whole lot of super duper rich people. That's going to be one of the big questions. And couple that with the fact that you do have the Seahawks for sale right now. So there are, as much as, yes, this is a formality of them planning to move ahead and trying to get something done, there's still going to be some questions involved in how this gets done and who all is involved and how expansive that involvement is if that price tag ends up being that high. Again, when it was 4 to 5, everyone felt really comfortable. 5 to 6, there was there was a little bit of uncertainty, but most people were feeling pretty good. And then as you saw it kind of climb a little bit more, you started to hear a little bit more. And now if it's 7 to 10, that's a hefty number. That's a really hefty number. And I think there's going to be a lot of conversations to be had over the next few months about who all is going to be involved in this.
Do you think the two potential ownership groups are competing? What I guess what I'm saying is, do you think who would be interested in buying the Sonics, being a part of that, would also be interested in the Seahawks?
I don't think principal owners are going to be in that position. I think if you have the money to buy one or the other, you're going to be directly invested in just one of those. But it's the minority owners. It's the people who might be able to put in that 5 to 10% or that 1 to 5% to be part of an ownership group. Those are the ones who you might end up seeing, some siphon off one way or the other. Because if you want to be a pro sports owner, because that's a cool thing to say to people that you're a pro sports owner, and you only have a certain amount of dollars that can be invested one way or the other, where does your priority lie? Where does your interest lie? Are you more of an NBA person and want to be connected with the return of the Sonics? Do you want to be are you an NFL person and want to be involved with continuing the run of what the Seahawks have? That's I think where it's going to be. It's not going to be the person who's putting in the 10 to 20%. It's going to be those lesser owners who are in some ways just as important to get to whatever that final number is going to be. Those are going to be the ones that I think might be a little bit in question of where that money goes.
Hey, Tim, do you think people who are skeptical about the NBA and the way they've been stringing everybody along for so long, do you think that ends with this report today? Is it 75% for sure going to happen, 90% next week? And when will the final vote be? Is it in June that we'll be double dog sure that this is actually going to happen?
So to answer your first question, I don't think anything is going to fully placate fans until you actually see, someone cutting a ribbon or standing in front of a Sonics jersey outside a Climate Pledge saying this is done and this is happening. Kind of like you remember when after they got the vote for the Kraken, they came back and like Wiki and Bonderman and all those guys are out there with the silver shovels and they're turning a pile of dirt out in front of Climate Pledge. Like I think there's a certain segment of the fan population that is so skeptical of what the NBA did and has said in the years since that until that day comes where it is final, double, triple stamped, whatever you want to call it, they're going to continue to have that level of skepticism. So a report like this obviously should get people excited and should generate the kind of buzz that I think they were hoping to get out of having this leak today. But there's still going to be that certain skepticism.
Sure.
To your question about the timeline, I would, based on this, I think the earliest we're seeing a final vote is the Board of Governors meeting during the summer at the NBA Summer League in Vegas. It would make perfect sense that if you have Vegas figured out and you're going to add the team there, you vote there, you approve it, you have the press conference in Vegas the next day saying, hey, look, we have a team in Vegas, and then you fly to Seattle and you do the same press conference the next day in Seattle. My guess would be July. There's a chance that if the number is so high that they need to prolong it to make sure they have the funds in place, that this could extend out until September. But if they have that timeline of wanting to start the team 28, 29, getting it solved in July certainly helps facilitate making sure that day arrives.
Will you have boots on the ground of this Board of Governors?
I will have boots on the ground of this Board of Governors.
And this is where? Is it taking place, or they're not promoting that?
They're not promoting that, but it's in New York. It's the same meeting they do every spring.
Outside, you're
in New
gonna
York,
be at the Regis Hotel.
I'm not staying at the Regis Hotel because,
well, of course, you're not. The Seattle Times ain't paying for that. I know that block very, very well. Sitting outside at those meetings at the Regis Hotel, it's a hell of a. That was where David Aldridge, thinking that he was really important, I asked him to get a comment real quick. He's like, "Not now. I can't speak. You're a reporter, dude. You're not an owner." All right, so you'll be there covering it, and it's the 24th and 25th.
Yeah, it's next week. And we should get, some real concrete answers, numbers, timeline, all those kind of important things that Shams touched on today in his story, but we'll finally hear it, I think, for real next week. And then just from there, it starts the weight of, okay, how are these negotiations going? Who's all going to be involved? And then we wait for a final answer.
Jim, I'm done. You have a last one, Jim?
Yeah, I got a last one for you. Kevin Calabro will turn 70 in June, which means he'll be 72 in June of 2028. What are the chances that the voice of the Sonics can be the voice of the Sonics again?
So Casey and I have actually talked about this. I think there's a chance. I know that last year when him and I had a long conversation one day, he said that he was kind of wanting to try and hang on to see what happened and see if maybe they came back. I don't think if he's still calling games 2.5 years from now, I don't think he's doing a full schedule. I think he's maybe doing the road games in Phoenix and San Antonio and all the places he can play golf while he's on the road, the perfect schedule to have. But I do think as much as he's kind of become a part of the Trailblazers, DNA down there and people have really finally started to accept him with the Blazers, I think there's a big part of him that would love to come back and be a part of that.
Yeah, they would. Whoever would be in charge of that would be doing it wrong, and it can only just be a year, but it would be fine if they don't bring back him and they don't bring back Marcus Johnson. And don't have Marcus Johnson and Kevin Calabro at least through the first year.
Yep.
Then they're doing it wrong. Then whoever's in charge of it doesn't know what they're doing. All right, we'll be following you next week. Again, you can follow him on social media. And then by Tim Booth. You can also read all of his work, seattletimes.com. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. What time is Jim's segment about golf bets for this week so I can follow and bet against
I'm
him?
just not going to bring it up because he
I
doubled
hate
down.
you, Booth. I
he
really
doubled
do.
down betting on the
It's
Dominican.
hard to be
Jim.
professional. Hard to be
Love you, Jim.
professional around you right now. Get the hell out of here, okay?
It's terrible. I mean, I wasn't going to bring it up. We'll bring it up later, but you got to stop betting. All right. I'm just so giddy. I can't help myself because I think I read that report. I watched what he said on ESPN this morning. And again, the NBA is very calculated and Adam Silver is very calculated. They wouldn't announce that a vote is going to happen next week if Adam Silver didn't know the result of said vote. I'm just trying to tell you that right now. The little secret that's probably obvious to everyone. It wouldn't come out if they weren't going to pass this. So it's just a formality. I'm sure there'll be someone that doesn't want to do it. I know that the Knicks owner, Dolan, has been against it. Maybe there's others. They need 23 of the 30 votes for it to move on. I think it's going to move on. I think everybody does. He even said in the report, and then I think when they get to, and Tim's right, when they get to Vegas in July, I think that's when the final vote's going to happen. And I think it's going to pass. Listen, it's $725 million per team. Again, if it's $10 billion. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, Puck, that's the thing. I think what happened is that the escalating price of the franchise, finally the owners thought, first they were thinking, geez, we're going to have to split things 30 ways. That's the way it's been. Now we're going to have to go to 32 ways.
Sure.
And now that it's been rising 7 million, 8 million, 9 million, 10 million, they're kind of going, well, geez, we can recalculate. And this is a hell of a deal for us. I was on the fence, but not anymore. Let's get this thing going.
Your 2028 unrestricted free agents, Jim, if you are interested, it's highlighted by Giannis Antetokounmpo. He would be an unrestricted free agent in 2028. So will
He'll be like 35 then, though.
So what? So will Anthony Davis. The Joker will be an unrestricted free agent if you're interested in him. Kevin Durant will be 42.
No. Will he?
Yeah.
No.
He'll be 42 years old.
In 2028?
All right. Well, hold on. Let me make sure that I'm
No,
right.
he's not that old.
Hold on. I said hold on.
God.
Hold on. I want to make sure I got the age right. He's 37. No, he'll be 39. Sorry. He's 37 now. He'll be 39. The list I'm looking at is their current age, actually. So Giannis will be 33. The Joker will be 33. Still in their prime. Durant will be 39 years of age. You can bring him back. Here's one. DeJounte Murray will be 31.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people are doing what you're doing, and it's fair to get excited and take a deep dive on all this stuff now. I was even wondering about what the expansion rules are. How many players can be protected when they have that draft?
I did this, and I thought about looking this up again. There's some different rules to it, and they did it differently last time they expanded, and I can't remember exactly how it went down. But, yeah, there's some things that how they protect their players in the draft and all that one. But, yeah, I think it's – here's my attitude towards all this, because I know what people are going to say. I'm not going to get my hopes up. You wake me up when they cut the ribbon. The NBA's done this to us before. I get all of that. I'm a lover, Jim. I like you. I like to love. And you know what? If my heart gets broken again, whatever, it gets broken again. I'll live with that later down. But I'd rather just love. And I'm going to love this right now. And it's why I'm on an NBA mock draft right now, trying to figure out how good this CJ roster is going to be out of Rocky Mountain, North Carolina in 2028, because he's the projected #1 pick.
Well, I got a different feeling about the NBA.
He's a 6'9" wing. He's very athletic. You're not excited.
I'm kind of, well, here's what I'm excited about. I'm excited for people like you and everybody else that wants the Sonics back. And for me, though, the NBA was a hot chick back in the 90s. I mean, she was just smoking. And now the NBA, I look at her and I'm going, maybe a few cocktails, I could get back into it, but yeah, not completely sober. I'm not into the NBA, but again, it doesn't matter what I'm into or what I'm not into. It's what everybody else is excited about. And for you to be, I'm not going to sit here and go, God, that's stupid. The NBA sucks. I'm happy for you, Puck, and I'm happy for everybody else that wants the Sonics back. And I do want to be at the first game. I really want to be at the first game. Just that first game. I want to see the emotion from everybody there. I want to see all the old Sonics there, George Karl. I want to see everybody there.
Were you at the last game?
I was not at the last game.
Yeah, you know what? I was, and I regret I don't have that video anymore. But that was, that was the word. To hear the chants, to hear Durant, egging it on, the Save Our Sonics chant. I believe they played the Mavericks, if I can remember correctly. Yeah, that was, it was.
Well, that season was just so awful, The way they treated everybody, they were so distant. They knew Sam Presti was distant. Yeah. PJ did the best he could as the coach, in a tough situation. But everybody knew they were leaving, and no one could believe it, because usually it's when a town doesn't show interest in a team, and that clearly wasn't the case in Seattle. I mean, there's always been a huge love affair with the Sonics in Seattle.
I think that's the first love affair, really, from a professional standpoint. There's so much deep-seated, rooted love for them and and again, maybe the NBA is different than just basketball, but I spent a week down in Tacoma watching high school basketball, and the love for high school, basketball is one thing. And there's just always been a love affair with this sport in particular. And I think a lot of it, we've talked about this before, is the weather. During the wintertime here, it's just, we witnessed it this weekend. It just is miserable. And so what did you do? You went in the gym. You either played basketball or you watched basketball. And so I think that's where the love is for that. All right, I know you got to go here because you got things going on. A quick update on Mrs. Go-To. She okay?
No, she's doing better. I mean, just small steps, baby steps. She had pneumonia. She was in the hospital last week. She got out this past, not yesterday, but 2 Sundays ago. And so, we're making some progress, and she's got to get a blood draw this morning. So she's not up to driving, so I got to help her out there.
I got you.
For everybody who's, shown concern and comment and stuff, I really appreciate it, and so does she.
WBC, did you watch it? Delivered last night. A thrilling game. It was fun to watch the U.S. take down the Dominican, even though they got, and let's just be honest, the home plate umpire on the take for Team USA. Your thoughts?
I know that wasn't a strike. We could see it wasn't a strike, but I could see why the umpire called it.
Juan Soto.
It was tough for the game to end like that. But you're right. There was all the drama there that you were hoping for, the hype going into the game. Julio making a great catch, and we had the scare when he got hit by the pitch. But
Jesus,
seems like he's okay.
Yeah, it had everything. It had the great emotions. There was I can't remember who it was when they had the rally late. Tatis is on deck. I think it's Caminero. Maybe he's hyping him up on it was fun. It was fun baseball. It's Aaron Judge said afterwards, I've been in a lot of great environments. The World Series isn't compared to this at all of what he just went through. So it was really cool. And they will wait between Venezuela and Italy. It'd be great if it's Venezuela to be in the championship game. Randy Arozarena back at camp, and no comment. No, I mean, here's the thing.
Well, he had a statement.
Okay, and it was terrible. It was terrible by Randy, and in fact, terrible by the Mariners. I can't believe the Mariners allowed him to get away with that. If I'm the Mariners, I'm embarrassed as an organization. I'm like, what are we? No, you're not. That's not the statement. You want a statement.
What are they can't force him to say anything he doesn't want to say.
Sure they can. He works for them. He works for them. This is what he should. So the
look, man, we're paying you $15 million this year. And by the way, we'd like you to stay in the batter's box every time you're in the batter's box.
And we'd like you to fucking say what we want you to say, not that BS you put out there. Here's what he should have said. Puckett Crisis Firm wrote it up this morning. Okay, you ready to hear it?
Yeah, I'm ready to hear it.
In regards to my interaction with my teammate, Cal Raleigh. Yes, at first I was upset. We are teammates. But looking back, I could and should have handled that better. I let my emotions get the best of me after the game. Emotions were high, and we desperately wanted to beat Team USA. But Cal and I are teammates and friends, and I don't want this to be a distraction for the upcoming season. Our goal to win a World Series title. I apologize to Cal, the organization, and the fans for this distraction it caused. That's it. That's all you got. That's all that PR department needed to hand him and tell him, either read this or we fine you.
Well, Puck,
That's it.
I wrote about it on Substack, and everybody was giving me
ridiculous.
shit because you're like, oh, everybody else is writing about it too. Well, I know, but it's one of those things when you're a husband. Sometimes, like even if Arozarena didn't want to apologize, you just apologize anyway to your wife, and in this case,
But
to Cal Raleigh and to the fans, and
right.
and you just kind of go, hey, for the greater good, the bigger picture. This is what I need to be doing. I shouldn't have to apologize. I'm not going to say that, but I'm going to do it anyway and sound sincere while I'm doing it.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you had to do. You nailed it. Perfect. Read all of his work, Jim Moore, the go-to guy.substack.com. Big thanks to Brothers in Cadillac and the Clean Streak as well. We'll see you later. Thanks again, and best to Mrs. Go-To.
Okay. Hey, thanks, Buck. Go Cougs, buddy.
If it's fun you desire, it's fun you're going to get at Flat Stick Pub. It doesn't matter what the occasion is, whether it's date night, guys night, ladies night, or large group event, Flat Stick Pub's got you covered. They have 6 great locations across the Pacific Northwest, from Pioneer Square to Kirkland, South Lake Union, Spokane, Bellingham, and Redmond. All locations offer the best pub experience in Washington. 2 rules at Flat Stick Pub: drink local and have fun. Pretty simple. So if you like to have fun, love local beer, and great tasting food, make Flat Stick Pub your next spot. Visit them at flatstickpub.com.
Drink Georgetown Tavern Beer, your new locally brewed domestic style lager. 4.2% alcohol. Cheap, good, local.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the Randy thing and the Randy Arozarena, and again, I guess ultimately the responsibility lands on Arozarena and whatever. The story is over, but I just disappointed in the organization. Like, you just can't allow him to come out with that. That cannot be it. That cannot be the statement that he had. He didn't mention anything in the statement. There was nothing. There was no acknowledgement of the distraction he caused. And if I'm the Mariners and I'm that ownership group and I'm that GM and president, I'd look at Randy Arozarena and go, you're not going to read that. No. This is where, again, whoever buys the Sonics and whoever buys the Seahawks, can just be a strong owner, because I'm tired of watching this team be just spineless owners, because they just don't do anything. They just don't. This is where you need a strong owner that comes out and just says, that's not how we act. That's not how we and again, he doesn't even have to do this publicly, John Stanton or these guys. But privately, go fly down there, and maybe he did this, so I don't know. But fly down there to Peoria and sit down with Randy and go, what are we doing? I pay you. Don't act like this. Like, at the end of the day, Randy Arozarena works for the Mariners. It's not the other way around. And I just wish we had a stronger owner that would just go and meet him and say that we are not going to approve this message and this statement that you're sending out. Like, we're not going to do that. You told a teammate to F off. No. You're going to come out. You're going to apologize. And I don't care if you don't want to. I don't care if you think you didn't do anything wrong. Not only are you going to apologize to Cal, and you're going to do that privately, and you're going to meet with them, and you're going to say you're sorry, but then publicly you're going to come out in front of a camera, by the way, and say, I was wrong, and I'm sorry. But again, it just... I just sometimes don't understand the way they operate over there. I don't get it. But what he read was just laughable. Like, to think that would pass off as sometimes, well, okay, it's all under the bridge now. It's swept under. No one cares. It doesn't matter anymore. And what I wrote as the Puckett Crisis Firm CEO, that's the easiest thing in the world to write. I mean, you just get out. I'm sorry. Move on. Love Cal. What Cal did, essentially, when he met with the reporters down in Houston. But yeah, we'll see. And again, I know there's people out there, because for some people who blame the media and blame all these other people for it. We'll see if it's over. I don't know. How do I know if the tension is over between Cal Raleigh and Randy Arozarena just because someone with a microphone tells me it should be over because Randy gave a statement? Okay. I'm not in that clubhouse. I mean, I obviously think that Cal's ready to move on, but does it sound like Arozarena's ready to move on? Again, something happens in a game. Let's say one of the players does something dumb and another player calls another player out, and then all of a sudden tensions boil over and Arozarena says something. I don't know what happens. I've seen plenty of animosity inside clubhouses and locker rooms and all that, covering not only baseball but other sports. And not all of them are friends, by the way. Very rarely are they friends. They're just teammates and they try to get along. But I think those for suggesting that this is a non-story and it's going to go away. I don't know. I think you're wrong on that a lot. I think big time you're wrong, and I think you're big time wrong if you don't think that this could have some type of impact on the season. Until he comes out, and whether he does it privately to him and just say sorry, because all he's got to say is sorry. And there was nothing in that statement that he read when he returned to camp that said, I'm sorry. None of it. And then perhaps he does it to him privately, but I don't know. It's just not hard to apologize. And Randy's no different than a lot of people. When you're wrong, and Jim nailed it there. Hey, I screwed up. I apologize. And sometimes you apologize for things that you're not even really sorry for, but you just kind of know to really move on and make the best of a bad situation, you have to. So that's the very latest with the Mariners. Of course, they're getting ready for the start of the season coming up next week. A programming reminder, we got a lot of moving parts here. This Wednesday, no show on Wednesday, although we'll put out I'm going to record with Divish, so that will come out, but there'll be no Jim, but you'll have at least something on Wednesday there with Divish. It's personal matter. I got something with my mom I've got to take care of. We're good. She's good, but it's just going to be gone that whole day on Wednesday. And then the following week, shows Monday, Tuesday, but then I'm off the rest of the week. Yeah, and I picked a good time, opening day, but we're off Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week. So for just to plan your schedule. Vacation time, and it's the only time that worked. So, yeah, woe is me. I know. But we'll still have everything for you guys leading up to the baseball season. And all our coverage is back. Boy, I'm just proud to announce that we got the whole crew back. Obviously, Divish is back. Bill Kruger is back. He'll be with us throughout the baseball season. Thrilled to have him on. And it's the only place where you're going to get him actually, like, unfiltered. He's here. So just trust me. He speaks more openly on this platform than anywhere else. Also, we've got Jim Duquette, our GM, is back for another year. And Mr. Hare, Brad Adam, is also back for another year. So we got you covered throughout the baseball season. I think better than anyone with Divish and Bill Kruger and Jim Duquette, Brad Adam throughout the year, which our coverage will get underway in earnest next week. We'll do, because we're going to be off, we'll do a kind of a special preview show with all of our guests. And then the following week, we're full bore there on the baseball season. Also a reminder, we got Everett Fitzhugh as the Kraken season is winding down every Thursdays with us now. And of course, the NFL season never sleeps. So you will periodically hear from Mike Garofolo of the NFL Network, Danny Kelly from The Ringer, and Rob Staten of SeahawksDraftBlog.com. We scratched the surfaces on the WBC, but I would just say it was great. The whole tournament's been fantastic. It's much better than watching spring training games. The emotion, and people are turning out for it. The attendance is great. It's been up. TV ratings are, for what it was compared to last time, has been through the roof. Sorry, Chris Egan. Hopefully you caught the game on FS1 or Fox yesterday. And, people just buying into it. And I think you see it because of the emotion on both sides of it. It certainly is more apparent that the Latin countries are having more fun with it than Team USA. I don't know if that's necessarily a knock on the U.S. It's just different personalities, just the way that certain cultures are raised and brought up. And that's not a judgment on anything, good or bad. I like the way that, the Dominicans play. I find it fun. I know kids like the way they play. Talking to my son who's, into baseball and loves baseball is, I think the direct quote yesterday was, I'm rooting for the Dominicans because they're having more fun. He's like, the Team USA looks like they're not having fun. I do think there's an element of that. It does look like Team USA, and I know they're having fun, and I know they want to win, and I know there's a lot of pride and all of it. But they do look a little like stoic, maybe it's just in their DNA. They may the way they were brought up. I don't know. But the Dominicans and the Venezuelans and the Puerto Ricans all look like they're playing as like 12-year-olds. Like it's the Little League World Series. Just jumping around and celebrating and having fun. And I enjoy it. I like it. I think it's good for the sport. I loved what Aaron Judge said after the game yesterday, calling the environment so different that it's nothing like you've seen in the World Series, that the crowds are into it. And he's right. I mean, the crowds are just sensational. And even in the U.S., the pro-U.S. crowds are great. I don't know if you could ever replicate that in the regular season. I don't think you can. Maybe in the playoffs a little bit, but I just think it's the different fan bases, right? There's country pride on the line, and country pride and your hometown will always supersede probably the professional team that you play for. I don't think you've heard the American players say it, but I'm sure there's some on there that would agree with the sentiment that you've heard some of the other players from other countries say, like Julio. There's one more, I think, was it Juan Soto that said it as well, that just said, hey, winning a World Series is obviously would be huge, but winning this would be bigger. I would bet you there's people on the U.S., maybe Judge or Gunnar Henderson or whoever, that would probably agree with that. Hey, yeah, I want to win a World Series, but winning this for my country or winning a gold medal in the Olympics in 2028 would be bigger than a World Series title. Perhaps they would say that. Maybe it wouldn't. It's not necessarily in their DNA to say it because maybe they've been raised, like the American player has been raised not to. I mean, it's always very kind of team centric, right? But to have more pride per se, maybe in the team that pays you, opposed to the country. But I don't know. You see plenty. You see the Olympics. You see plenty of American pride at the Olympics. I think the hockey teams for the men and women were fantastic. You can see how much it meant to them. I think if you ask some of those hockey players on Team USA, would they admit it? I don't know. Winning gold, was that bigger than winning the Stanley Cup? I bet you there's a few of them would say yes. So I just think overall it has been great. I hope they face Venezuela. That would be sensational. I mean, Italy would be good, but it wouldn't. I think having another Latin team in there to face the U.S., especially with where they're playing, that's what you want. That's what the TV execs want. It's too bad that we didn't get the Dominicans and the U.S. in the championship game, but hey. Venezuela and Italy tonight, semifinals. 5 p.m. FS1, and then the championship game is on Tuesday. God, what a great week of sports. I mean, Tuesday, you got the championship game, WBC. We get the first play-in games, Tuesday, Wednesday. Although, let me strike that. I'm going to take those out. I don't like the play-in games, but it is something to watch. You got the NCAA tournament starting Thursday. The two of the greatest days in sports, the Thursday and Friday at 9:15, we're getting underway from Dayton, Ohio, Portland, Oregon, Salt Lake City, Wichita, Kansas. I mean, just all of it. It's great. It's so much fun. And then you get into next week, and then we get baseball. We got opening day of baseball, the games all across the country starting on Thursday. The Masters is around the corner. Shout out to Cam Young at the Players, unlike Jim Moore, who went with Ludwig Oberg. This guy right here, Cameron Young, big balls, Cameron Young. How about stepping up to 18? Tournament on the line. You got to win. You're tied. You got to hit the shot of your life. And that's what he said to himself. I love what he said afterwards. If you didn't hear it, I got to hit the best shot of my life is what he told himself and what he told his caddy. I have to hit the best shot of my life. And he did. He hit a drive 375 yards. The longest drive ever on that hole in the shot tracking era. And he frickin' nuked it. Gets up there, steps up, and then wins it over Matthew Fitzpatrick. Just a great ending to the Players' Championship. I thought the crowd was terrible, by the way. Stupid, ignorant, drunken, boorish, stupid, moronic, young behavior. I get first of all, it's not Team USA against Britain, and it's not the Ryder Cup, so lay off of it. I get the Team USA, the USA chants, but the booing of Fitzpatrick, it was a little beneath the fans, I thought. And it's not only just that, the booing and the chants, it's do we have to say something after every time someone hits a shot? Does some moron in the crowd who's been hopped up on White Claws all day, wearing a polo shirt, does he have to say something and yell something out so everyone hears? Can we just ban that guy from all tournaments moving forward? But thank you to Cameron Young for pulling off that victory yesterday. If you're just joining the live show, you missed in the beginning of the show, we had Tim Booth on the Associated Press, Seattle Times. Tim's been all over the coverage of the Sonics, a potential return to Seattle, NBA expansion. If you're just joining us, the news on the NBA is that Shams from ESPN reporting they're going to hold a vote next week, the 24th and 25th, NBA Board of Governors meetings in New York City, which Tim will be at. We'll outside the Regis Hotel. I was there years and years and years ago when they were going through this whole thing with the Sacramento Kings. I remember standing outside on that block working at KJR, trying to get interviews left and right. That's where we had it first at the. Who was the president? Peter, what was his name? He was there on the behalf of Paul Allen and how they were going to vote. And this was on the sale of the Sonics, I think, or the sale of the move. And that's where I think we had it first on the street that he was going to vote no, not approve it. And I'm blanking on that guy's name, but it's going to be a crazy week. Next week there in New York City. They're going to approve it. They need 23 of the 30 NBA owners to say we're voting to move forward with the application expansion process, which is what the Board of Governors meeting is going to be next week. Hey, should we move forward? They're going to move forward. We said it when the guys were on earlier. Adam Silver's calculated in the NBA is it's not going to come out if they're not going to approve it. And it's no harm, no foul. Does that mean they're going to expand for sure? No, they could still vote that down in the summer and say, no, we're not going to do it. So, but there's no harm in just saying, yes, let's move forward, especially if the price tag is $10 billion. I mean, Jesus. I mean, $724 million, maybe is it more, per NBA team? So if one of these owners is on the fence of expanding, they're going to look, well, okay, yeah, I don't think we really should do it. Does it water down the league? Which is, by the way, the most tired argument in the world, that it waters down the league. That's $24 million. I don't know. Maybe I can get on. Maybe I can sign on board for that. And there'll be some other questions. Obviously, who the ownership group will be. Samantha Holloway is again, they have maintained that she will be the head. They said it. She will be the head of the NBA ownership group. They've had the wheels in motion forever on this one. This is not something that is new to them. They have a whole NBA side of their ownership group with the Kraken. All that people are just there for the NBA. Now, she can't buy it herself. She's going to need people along with her. We brought up those names earlier. I think it'd be interesting. I think the NBA is a lot about image, and the NBA is a lot about growing the game, moving it forward, empowerment. And I just think you got two people, one person in particular, in Mackenzie Scott, that was interested in the Portland Trailblazers. We had Canzano on about this a few weeks ago. She expressed interest in the Blazers. They went down the road on it. She did. Could she be a part of? Her name has just circulated along with Melinda Gates, but Mackenzie Scott's name has circulated. So could Mackenzie Scott and a combo of Melinda Gates? Now you've got the firepower to do it. Because as Tim pointed out, to buy 1% of the team, which you're talking $770 million. So, or $700 million. So there are very few people that have got that type of wealth and that type of capital. Those two just happen to have it. They do. So I think the league would look very favorably upon having an ownership group in Seattle or in the NBA that is led by 3 women or 2 women. I think it'd be great for the league to have that and to be able to put, kind of plant their flag back in the league and just say, you've got Samantha Holloway, Mackenzie Scott, and Melinda Gates. Great. Whatever it takes to get this back. I know there's reservations about it. I get it. I understand it. But I think for me, and I think for a lot of people that have wanted it back, it's been a void for a long time. If they start in 2028, that'd be 20 years since they left. I think a lot of us would welcome it back. Some won't. Some won't, and I believe some won't. And for them, the game has been completely lost. And I respect that, and they just don't want anything to ever do with the league again for how it treated them and how it treated our city. Yeah, I get that. I understand that 100%. I also think there's a group that says that because they want to say that, but then when it does come back, they'll be on board. I'm going to start saving my money now, and you should too, because if you think the Kraken have an expensive ticket, just wait. Just wait of how expensive that ticket will be. Not only just a single game ticket, but for season tickets. So go back and watch or listen if you're just joining us to Tim Booth, that was on with us at the very start of the show. All right, as we get close to wrapping up the show, on this day, March 16th. On this day, of course, brought to you by Hive Social, one of our new sponsors, the official social meetup app for Puck Sports. Download the Hive Social app on iOS and Google Play. It is free. HYV Social. Invite your friends and fellow sports fans. There is a Puck's Posse page on the Hive Social meetup app. When you download it from iOS and Google Play, HYV Social again. And look for announcements there on any potential NCAA March Madness watch parties, events happening at Flat Stick Pub, events happening elsewhere around the city, especially with Thursday and Friday. And you maybe just want to go watch the games. You're a Gonzaga fan, or you're a North Carolina fan, or Duke fan, or whatever. And you want to know, where are people watching the NCAA tournament games on Thursday and Friday? Hive Social is a perfect app for you. And that's why it is the official Puck Sports social meetup app. All right. On this day, March 16th, we take you all the way back to 1964. I've never heard of this story. And when I saw it this morning and then read about it, and then my first reaction is, wait a minute. They bet on games and they were suspended, but they weren't kicked out, and one of them is in the Hall of Fame. Baseball, you do anything with baseball back in the day, you're done forever. And Pete Rose was done forever. Shoeless Joe Jackson, done forever. But 1964, Paul Hornung, of course, outstanding running back for the Green Bay Packers, for those who remember, and defensive tackle Alex Karras. Now, I don't remember Alex Karras as the player. I just remember Alex Karras as the dad in Webster. And if you remember the show Webster, top 5 sitcoms of all time. Webster was great. And everybody knows the best part about Webster was what? Not the little kid. Well, the little kid was great. The best part about Webster was the clock that was actually a secret door, like passageway, that they could walk. Remember when the guy tried to rob their house and steal Webster? Then Webster hid in the clock and walked around the house? That was the best part about that show. Just raise your hand. Does anybody remember Webster? The TV show that Alex Karras starred in? Anyone? Bueller? So back to the story. 1964. Alex Karras and Paul Hornung. They were reinstated on this day in 1964 after a 1-year suspension. for betting on football games. They got only a year suspension for betting on games. This is what was outstanding about it. See, there's people that remember Webster. Yeah, damn right. See, I told you. This guy remembers that episode at S_over_street. Remember he hid? God, it was that clock. I always wanted a secret passageway in our house that would take us to different rooms, like Clue. All right, can I finish the story eventually? This is where I get distracted easily. They were suspended for betting on football games. Both admitted, again, to betting $100 to $500. That's a lot of money back in the day, by the way. $100 and $500 on games between 1959 and 1961. So they did it for 2 years. There were 5 Lions that were fined $2,000 each for betting on the 1962 NFL championship game. That's what they called it before the Super Bowl. None of these guys got suspended indefinitely. Pete Rozelle just suspended them for a year, and then they were back in the league. Meanwhile, in baseball, you're done forever. Crazy how the different sports reacted to sports gambling. And then again, it goes back to, for those who are like, because legalized gambling today. Oh, it's such a problem. All these players are getting in trouble and it's the worst thing that's ever happened. I mean, it was happening back then in 1964. So nothing really. History does always repeat itself. All right, on this day, happy birthday going out to Joel Embiid, who is 32 years young today. The former Kansas Jayhawks star, #1 overall picks, battled injuries. When healthy, he's one of the most dominating players in the league. And by the way, in 2028, 34, will be a free agent. Flavor Flav is 67 years young today. I always wondered how he got his nickname. Then I found out by reading it. The Public Enemy rapper was born in 1959 in Long Island, New York. His birth name, William Jonathan Drayton Jr. Doesn't quite roll off the tongue like Flavor Flav. He dropped out of high school as a junior, went on to culinary school, and then later attended Adelphi University in New York, where he met a man by the name of Carlton Ridenour. Who do you think Carlton Ridenour is? Any guesses? When I tell you who it is, you're going to laugh. Carlton? And then I wondered, did they use like a character in what's the Will Smith TV show that I'm blanking on right now in Beverly Hills? Anyways, Carlton Ridenour was Chuck D. Of course, Chuck D, Flavor Flav, ended up creating Public Enemy. Now, how did he get his nickname, his stage name, Flavor Flav? Well, when he dropped out of high school and before culinary school, Fresh Prince, thank you very much. When he dropped out of high school and before culinary school, he was like a graffiti artist. So he would tag, do a bunch of graffiti around New York. His tag name was Flavor Flav. So that's how he got the name. This one's odd to me. Apparently there are two Harrison Fords, because there's a Harrison Ford we know, right? Raiders of the Lost Ark, Star Wars. There was also another Harrison Ford that was a silent stage actor, and he was born in 1884. He died in like 1951, I think it was. But another Harrison Ford. So it got me thinking. So is the Harrison Ford we know, did he just take this guy's name? It's kind of odd you'd have two actors, same name, Harrison Ford. Because initially I saw it, I'm like, 1884. I mean, I know he's old, not that old. By the way, if you don't watch Shrinking, which he is one of the stars of that show on Apple, go watch it. That's just it's a real tugger at the heart, is that Shrinking. Just a real good show. Just, 30 minutes episode or 45 minutes. Well, you're in and out. Good writing, good acting. Harrison Ford is just terrific in him. All right, that's all that happened on this day, March 16th. Big thanks to Hive Social, the official Puck Sports Meetup app. Download it today, iOS and Google Play. Hey, What the Puck is brought to you by Tersuli Construction. From injury response to full-scale rebuilds and remodels, Tersuli Construction, full-service contractor, handling your project from start to finish. Locally owned and operated out of Ballard, proudly serving the Puget Sound region for over 15 years. If you're dealing with damage or planning what's next, call the team that does it all. Tersuli Construction, restoring what matters, building what's next. Give them a call, 206-793-3744. Ask for Trent. Schedule to stop by Tersuli Construction as well. There, Trent will offer a warm handshake. He'll bring you into the office, and he'll say, would you like to play 18 holes at Pebble Beach on my simulator? And you'll say, yes, please. Visit them also at tersuli.com. I was thinking about this over the weekend, and I'm going to try to articulate this in a way that's not going to offend someone, but it's most likely going to, and that's not my intention whatsoever. So just hear me out. Before you go and get all upset and start yelling at me and you're unpatriotic and you're un-American, I don't want to hear it. Just hear me out. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to preface this by saying, and I think we would all agree, I don't think there's anyone that's listening or watching this right now that doesn't appreciate what the men and women in our armed forces do for us. Right? There's no one's going to come out and say anything. Oh, whatever. I don't appreciate them. I do. We all do. I couldn't do this shenanigans without them, without the freedom that we have, right? So this is not an attack on them. I think it's not even an attack. I think it's a criticism for how we handle sports in this country when it comes to the military. The militarization of our sports, I just think it's gone way too far. And what I mean by that is, and we've seen some things here recently, I personally don't understand why Team USA in baseball, Mark DeRosa, brought in a ex-Navy SEAL who apparently was on the mission that killed Osama bin Laden to speak to the team, to fire them up for their game against, was that Canada? Who was it against? Yeah, Canada. I don't really get it. We're not going to war. And we do that a lot in this country in particular, where we associate sports with war and battle. And I think it's wrong. Maybe you don't. I do. Because, and my point to the military community would be, because it's nothing like sports at all. Nothing. Like, these men and women give their lives and they die giving their lives. No one's dying playing football or basketball or baseball or soccer. At the end of the day, they're going to lose their life over that. Like these people that, and we've got a great audience that I know that listens across the world to us. I hear from them. And I would just say we need to step back on just how militarized we've made all of this. The speeches of a Navy SEAL before a game, like I don't think it's unnecessary. And we do this a lot before. We see it baseball a little bit, football more than anything. You know, how many games do you go to? Whether it's the Super Bowl, NFC Championship game, whatever championship games that get the national anthem, and I love the national anthem before games. I do. I think it's great. But then it's the flyover of a jet or a helicopter, or it's just always the presence of the military and the association as if it's wartime. But to me, it's the furthest thing from war. I just thought one of the latest things was just the DeRosa thing with Team USA, just a little too far. If you watch the Players Championship, I just think, again, go back to the crowd. It got too heavy with the U.S. versus Europe thing. It just, and some people there were crossing the line. It's just funny when you look at the sports here in the U.S. in terms of when they get into these games, WBC, Olympics, what have you. You know, that like the USA baseball team, they don't look like they're having that much fun to me. And it's very serious and rigid. You know, when I watch the Olympics, both hockey teams look like they were having the time of their lives. Like the men and the women looked like they were having so much fun. Maybe it's just that sport that just has more fun involved in it than some of the other ones. But Like Team USA, like the baseball team right now, could take a little page out of what the men and women hockey team kind of acted. But back to the original point, I don't know. I just think the military aspect of our sporting events, I think we've blurred the line there a little too much, and it needs to. I'd like to see us pull back on that one. I think the genie's out of the bottle. We're not going to, but I think we should. All right, that's Hey What the Puck. It's brought to you by Tersuli Construction, restoring what matters, building what's next. Give them a call, 206-793-3744. Visit tersuli.com. Big thanks to everybody watching and listening to today's show. Thank you to all our sponsors. Big thanks to Limback Lumber, Flat Stick Pub, by the way. Their doors open 11 o'clock on Thursday and Friday. Great spot to go watch the games. If you get away from work for a little while and sit there, have a cold beer, some food, great food, by the way, at Flat Stick Pub. Pizza's sensational. And then you watch all the games. Got TVs everywhere and great beer selections from all types of places. So get to your nearest Flat Stick Pub. Also, by the way, Flat Stick Pub, mention this, we got baseball actually starting next week with them at home taking on the Guardians. And you may know this or not, but they've got that great location down in down in Pioneer Square that for the longest time was just adults only. No longer. And I found that out before the NFC Championship game. But once the Mariners start, and it's going to start next week, Pioneer Square location allows kids now. So you can go in there, pregame, mini golf with the kids, mom and dad grab some beer, some pizza. Kids are running around playing mini golf, doing whatever, maybe watching some of the other sporting events going on. And then it's centrally located. It's an easy walk right to the stadium. So just a reminder and getting it out there that Flat Stick Pub, their Pioneer Square location now, allows you to have kids. Great first step there. Great job there by Andy and the entire crew over there at Flat Stick Pub. Also, a big thanks to Georgetown Brewery, Hive Social, and Tersuli Construction. Today's Daily Puck Drop, find it up on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel if you can. Hit that like button. Leave a comment. Try to get to as many as we possibly can. You may watch the videos but not be a subscriber, so hit that subscribe button. You can also find the Daily Puck Drop on your favorite podcast platforms, Apple and Spotify, of course. Please leave a rating, 5 stars, and write a review if you got 30 seconds. Also, find everything up at pucksports.com. There, you can also sign up to become a Pucks Posse member. You support all the free shows that we do throughout the week. You just support Puck Sports. Plus, we give you bonus shows throughout the week. Sports Pit with Matt Stretch Johnson, Inside Pitch with Ryan Davis, KJ Arntz with one Mitch Levy. And we now produce the Graz with Gas Take 5 podcast. New episodes every single Monday with Graz and Gas. Just search for it on YouTube and all podcast platforms. All right, we appreciate the support as always, everybody. And I mean everybody. You all have just yourselves a wonderful day. All right, we'll talk to you tomorrow. Johnny Cans will join us tomorrow on the show. Lots of topics to cover with Canzano. Go read all of his work up at johncanzano.com. By the way, check out his YouTube page, John Canzano. And, of course, all of his podcasts up at the Bald Face Truth. Enjoy your Monday. You want to hear the Sonics one more time? I actually want to hear it one more time. Before we play the outro, you want to hear it one more time?
Now, ladies and gentlemen, get on your feet for the 1996 Pacific Division champions, your Seattle SuperSonics.
No shirt, no shoes, no ties.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you, but you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for? We'd like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!